Aloha and welcome to Moonscope's Love Your Life Astrology. I'm your host, KG Stiles. Today, I'm delighted to be speaking with Dr. Jude Currivan, and a cosmologist, author, and futurist. Jude grew up as a daughter of a coal miner in the north of England, and she has since journeyed to nearly 70 countries around the world. For the past 20 years, she has lived in the sacred landscape of Avebury. She has experienced multi-dimensional realities since early childhood and worked with wisdom keepers of many traditions around the world. Jude holds a PhD in archaeology from the University of Reading in the UK and a master's degree in physics from Oxford University, specializing in cosmology and quantum physics. She is the author of 5 nonfiction and new paradigm books, currently available in 15 languages in 25 countries, including Cosmos, a co-creator's guide to the whole world, co-authored with systems theorist Dr. Irvin Laszlo. Her first fictionalized ebook, Legacy, is available now at Amazon.com. In 2014, Jude became a member of the Evolutionary Leaders Circle that includes Deepak Chopra, Barbara Marx Hubbard, Don Beck, Jean Houston, and Irvin Laszlo. Please join me in welcoming my guest, Dr. Jude Currivan. Welcome to the show, Jude. Thank you so much for joining us.
It's great to be with you, KG, as always. It looks warmer where you are than where I am, by the way.
Yeah, it can get cold, and out about it. So
yeah.
You need the tea, hot tea.
I've got it. I always have hot tea to hand.
So we are faced with huge choices.
Yeah.
And there's so much change happening now, and the course of human history is really up for, the planet, the Earth is just going through huge transformational shift. We are at a tremendous crossroads. The main theme I know you want to talk about on the show today is to explore this crossroads we're at as we cross the threshold into 2016 with, the choice points of being fear or love, war or peace. So where do we start, Jude? What are you seeing for us in the heavens? What are they mirroring to us that's going on within each of us and collectively that's bringing us to this critical choice point?
Okay, well, what I have a sense of, KG, is that this is a critical choice point, but it's not the critical choice point in the sense that from June of 2012 through to March of this year, we've had 7 exact squares between Uranus, the great awakener, the great revolutionary, and Pluto, the great transformer. And we're at a place now where that's been a sort of a 3-year process that's we've offered ourselves in consciousness opportunities to move from fear to love, from war to peace. Now, on Christmas Day, I mean, how symbolically perfect is it that on Christmas Day, Uranus goes from being retrograde into being stationary before going direct. And that square alignment, those series of squares, really then start to fall away energetically. So it seems to me that this is a crucial, I never say last chapter or first chapter, it's like a tidal wave of change, which is wave on wave on wave. And I feel that we're in that birthing of new consciousness as we speak, and have been for some years and will be for some years to come. But it seems that this is a time of great crisis, which of course the Chinese glyph for which is both risk and opportunity. And I feel that certainly Uranus and Pluto are playing enormously significant roles in, is this breakdown or is this breakthrough? We have a situation via war and peace in the Middle East. How do we respond to the circumstances and the events there that are not just there, but are feeling out from there and affecting us globally? And how do we feel and make our choices in terms of our relationship with each other as a global family and with Gaia, with our beloved Earth? And those are resonant with the climate talks that are happening now in Paris. And again, isn't it symbolic that it was Paris that was attacked 2 weeks ago that has driven this ratcheting up of choices of war or peace. And it's also Paris, where the climate change conference is now taking place. So I think it's very clear to me, at any rate, that we're in a major choice point as individuals, but also collectively. And as you quite rightly say, there is this crossroads. So what are our choices? How do we go forward? Do we fall back into fear? Do we continue to run around those fear-based behaviours that have limited us and caused so much grief and trauma and despair? Or do we find ways within ourselves and with each other to actually transcend those fears? And certainly astrologically, I think we're being given enormous help to transcend those fears and turn what is potentially a breakdown into a wonderful breakthrough. But it's our choices.
So what does that look like astrologically? What are you referencing?
Well, what I'm referencing is that after 7 exact squares between Uranus and Pluto over the last 3 years, those are now falling away now. But we're in this last moment of their energetic, where Uranus goes direct on Christmas Day this year. It's been retrograde for the last 6 months or so, from the end of July. And in its retrograde motion, it's almost gestating revolution. It's saying within ourselves, wake up, wake up. And that waking up potentially is on an inner level. When he goes direct on Christmas Day, for me, it's about what has this last 6 months of waking up potentially within us, how does then that manifest in the world? What choices do we then manifest outwardly that have perhaps been pulling up within ourselves internally for the last 6 months? And he's allied with Pluto, because Pluto, if we're able to sort of look fear, understand our fears, recognize our fears, but not be held prisoner to them, then Pluto's there to help us take our hands and go with us into a breakthrough moment. So that's what I feel is happening.
So this integration, do you see that coinciding when Uranus gets out of its shadow? It's going to be back, crossing over this retrograde.
He's standing direct. He's going to be direct in Aries. He's going to be standstill, stationary in Aries on Christmas Day.
When he'll be out of his shadow phase?
Well, I'm really
6 months.
Sorry, I didn't hear you.
Yeah, do you know when he'll be out of this shadow phase that he's crossed over the last 6 months?
Well, I feel that on Christmas Day is the key point, because he's stationary on Christmas Day before then going direct. And it just feels to me that this is the build-up. We've been in a build-up, and I'm sure many of the folks who are listening to us have felt this intensity within their own lives over this period. And of course, we've seen that intensity playing out in the sort of the outer events, the outer global events. And I think what they're doing is they're mirroring back to each and every one of us. What are our choices? I follow events in the US very closely. I follow global events very closely, and I've done a lot of work in the Middle East. And what I see in the US is the same sort of response in many folks that happened after 9/11. And then it was a sort of a knee-jerk, fear-based reaction. And I'm seeing it played out, especially in the Republican presidential candidates, but I'm seeing it in other ways. But I'm also seeing other voices, and other voices that are more measured, that are more understanding, that aren't soft, but actually do come from much more, a much deeper, much more profound understanding, of what's happening, because there's a lot of ignorance that drives the fear, but also a deep sense of love. And that love is not sentimental. It's a love that recognizes the oneness of all that we are. And that when we hurt someone else, we ultimately do hurt ourselves. And although, folks who are doing evil things need to be stopped, there are different ways of stopping them other than bombing them and causing massive pain and trauma to innocent folks, folks who've got caught up with the situation, which just breeds more. It just breeds more anger, breeds more hatred, breeds more despair. And so it's that perspective that I'm talking about, and those choices that we need to make.
Yes, meeting, with the same kind of chaotic, retaliatory, that
Yeah.
kind of similar energy,
Yes.
rather than transcending. And I think we are in this. I think we will be in a process of integrating a lot that has been uncovered over the last 6 months.
I agree.
I wanted to ask also, how do you see the Saturn square Neptune playing into this? Because they are very much about fear and faith, those two planets.
Yes,
Saturn
absolutely.
really brings up the fear, the wanting to be in control, and then the Neptune deepens our faith and that element of love. Also, I think something I have understood just through being more intimate with myself, deepening in my own love for myself, for my son, for people who are really my family members, people I'm really connected with and love, that it's through that deepening of your love that you can transcend the lower forces. We all have those lower forces that
Sure.
control us, to come into domination when we're feeling afraid.
Absolutely.
And to react. So you want to talk more about that?
Yeah, because, when we come into incarnation, we take on an ego persona, and the job of our ego mind is to, as best it can, keep us safe as it sees it. But of course, the ego mind's other role is to perceive separation or perceive difference, because it's the differences, the perceived dualities in which we learn so much. But when those dualities are so convincing that we forget the deeper oneness of which we're all part of, then we can act in ways to try and keep ourselves safe, or so we think, from those lower chakras, which is about control and power and lashing out and conflict and competition. And so it is about transcending those. For me, Saturn is a big brother. And I mean that in the best way, because Saturn, when we make friends with Saturn, I feel that what he does do, it isn't so much about control, it's a significant grounding. But for me, Saturn helps us, if we're willing to be helped in that way, to find authenticity, to find truth, and to keep our feet to the fire until we do realize truth and live our truths and live that at a profound level. And so, whenever there's a square alignment as well, I always feel squares ratchet up. With squares, it's very much an invitation, an opportunity to move to another level of awareness. So actually, I always see every astrological alignment, in a sense, never malevolent. At least neutral. But for me, I perceive the astrological alignments very much as part of our collective consciousness, of our entire solar system, helping us to understand, to expand our consciousness, to realize literally at a much more profound and ultimately integral level.
Yeah, they're our teachers, they're partners.
They're partners. Yeah. They're partners. They're guides. They're fellow travelers. Exactly.
Yes. So, well, is there anything else you'd like to say about this time period that we're in?
I would really invite people to be kind to themselves and really practice kindness. The other thing is, you guys have just gone through Thanksgiving. Rather than have Thanksgiving as a one-day event, and God forbid Black Friday, let's make it Green Friday, but Thanksgiving every day. Be thankful in all of our lives for what we have, and really choose thankfulness and choose love and choose kindness with ourselves and with each other, because ultimately that is the way that I feel the intense astrology is giving us support to really, at this point of choice and at this point of crossroads, to move from fear into love and to come together.
Yeah, well, that's how you create a new pattern.
Yeah.
And really evolve to a new level and way of being with yourself,
yeah,
and other people. but it's
Exactly.
an evolved way of relating. And, it starts with the individuals making those choices.
Very much. Has to.
So do you have anything else you'd like to share before we close?
Just to wish everyone my blessings, my love, my best wishes, my understanding that I do understand that it's not an easy time for anyone.
Yes.
But that to know that we are all together. We are literally all in it together. And when we come together and give thanks for each other and love each other and look after each other, whether those persons are our family, our friends, our neighbors, or refugees, to realize that we're all part of a human family, and to know that, people act from fear, often from despair. So let's transform fear into love, and let's transform despair into hope.
Yes. And that's a deep alchemical process. It really goes deep, and it can feel very intense to go through those transformative fires.
Yeah.
So,
I never said it was easy.
yeah. So,
But
well,
I've never said it's easy, KG, as you know. I've never said that. But I do honestly feel that this really is a crucial moment, a vital moment in our human journey.
yeah.
And it's one that I just hope and pray and trust that we will take together.
Yes. How can people find out more about you and your work?
They can go to my website. It's a very simple website at the moment because this year's been a writing year and my work's been changing. But if they go to www.judecurrivan, JUDECURRIVAN.com, they can find out more about my work and my books, and they can also email me if they have any questions or queries, or if I can help in any way.
Well, thank you, Jude. Well, that's it for today's show. Thanks again for joining us. Have a beautiful day, everyone. A warm mahalo. Much love to you. Wishing you happiness and success always. Thanks again, Jude. It's been a pleasure having you with us.
Mahalo, KG, and mahalo, everyone.
Okay, until next time, relax,
Until next time.
enjoy your life, and stay connected.